unbox the machine by using a box cutter. Cut along the dotted line, the bottom of the box, and slide the box off. After that, the best thing to do is cut the tape and begin removing all the plastic and the boxes. Cut open step 1 of the hardware kit and slide the incline rail assembly into place. Be careful not to pinch any of the wires as you're sliding that into place. And once you have it in place, connect the 2 connectors. Make sure that they are lined up correctly. Then you want to install the hardware found in step 1. There will be a bolt on each side that holds the incline rail assembly in place, and there has to be a flat washer and then a nut on the inside. You want to tighten them down, not completely, but get them snug. And then there's 4 bolts that go, 2 on each side. They go down. There is a split washer, a flat washer, and a star washer that goes on. Once those are all in place, you can tighten all 6 bolts. Next thing we have to do is install the console mast. It's very important to remember to put the mast cover on the mast before you feed the wire, or you'll have to disassemble. The best thing to do is to slide that mast cover down the mast, and there should be a twist tie that is fed down the mast when you take it out of the box. Tie the end of that to your wire harness, and the other end just pull that through, and make sure that you pull all the slack out of that wire harness before you snap it into place, or the wire harness can be damaged. There's already 1 bolt pre-fed in the mast assembly there, and then you have to add 3 more bolts, 2 to the front and 1 more to the side. You want to make certain that you tighten the 2 bolts in the front, the shorter bolts, snug them down before you tighten the ones on the side. These are some big bolts, and they are meant to be tightened extremely tight, so don't go easy with them there. Next thing we have to do is install the console assembly. There are 5 wires that have to be plugged into the back of the console. There's a main harness, which is the biggest one. There are 2 hand pulse wires that have to be plugged in, and then 2 other connectors. Once you have those plugged into the correct spots, tuck the extra wire into the console mast and put the 4 screws in the back of the console that secure it in place. Next thing we do, step 2, we're installing the handlebars or the swing arms. Remove the foam off of the axle and make sure to put the 2 wave washers on that axle before you put the arm on. Slide the arm into place and put the washer and bolt into the end. You want to be sure this is a very snug bolt here. We don't want any play there on that axle. It can cause noise. Connect the harness there, which is the buttons on the handle, and tuck all the extra wire into the console mast. And then we have a rubber grommet that is inside the hardware kit. And you just snap that around the wire and then plug it into the hole in the side of the console mast. Repeat the same process on the other side. Next, we have to install the covers that go over that connection. They can be put on upside down, so you want to be sure that there's a space on the top of that cover. That should go on the top to make room for that wire to go through the cover. If it's put on upside down, it will go on upside down. If it's put on upside down, you can pinch that wire and the buttons won't work on the handle. Repeat that same process on the opposite side again. The next thing we have to do is connect the connecting arm to that handlebar that we just installed. There will be a twist tie that holds in a sleeve spacer in the end of that rod end bearing. We just insert the bolt there and put your nut on. The wave washer will, or the washer will go up against the nut that you're putting on that bolt. We want to be sure that this is a tight connection here. That bracket that goes on the outside of that rod end bearing should be tightened down and pinched in to where it's squeezed to that rod end bearing. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. Next, we'll install some plastic covers. The first cover here we'll put on is goes on the connecting arm, and it's on the left side. It's easiest to flip that cover upside down and put the two self-tapping screws in first. If they're on the inside there, they're very difficult to get to. So if you put it on correctly and then spin it upside down, you can put those screws in easier. Once they're in, flip that over and make certain that the stickers on the side of that cover that they are pointing up. This cover can be put on upside down, and if it is, it will cause noise. Once you have it into place, you can install the two machine screws that go into the connecting arm. The next cover we have to go on actually goes on the handlebar, and it just covers part of that other cover. This also has some screws on the inside that are difficult to get to. Repeat that same process on the opposite side. The right side will be easier to put on because the extra holes for those self-tapping screws are on the outside. Once again, make certain that the stickers on those smaller covers are pointing up once you install those. Next we'll install the sliding wheel covers. Both of those are held on with 2 Phillips head machine screws as well. Repeat this process on the right and the left pedal arm. Next we'll install the 2 middle stabilizer covers. They're held in place with just 1 screw on each side. And then the front stabilizer cover, it's held on with 2 screws. Then we're going to install the Z brackets. There's 1 on each side, and you want to be sure that the bracket is angling towards the back after you get the 2 screws in. Then we're going to be installing the rear stabilizer covers. There's actually 2 covers that go on this back side. You do want to install there's a screw that goes into each of the Z cover brackets. Install that screw first so that when you put the bracket on, it will actually hold it into place. And there's 4 screws that hold it into place, the 2 on the Z brackets, and then there's 2 on the top. Once it's in place, tighten all 4 screws down. Then we have the mast cover. There's a front cover and a back cover. The front cover is held on with just 1 Phillips screw. The back is held on with 4. The last thing we have to do is power the machine up. Press the start button and run the incline up to level 3 or 4. Then we can put on the middle stabilizer cover. The reason we wait to put that on is so we can incline that up and make certain that the incline is working before we cover up the wires that do control that. Once this cover is on, you do want to take a look at the rails. If they're dirty, it will cause noise. You'll be able to feel it. So make sure that they're free from all debris. If they are dirty, we can use rubbing alcohol and a rag to clean them